So every Wednesday night, I go to my church for a men's group to study a book called Heart of a Warrior by Michael Thompson. It's a phenomenal book, and the readings that we did last night led us into a discussion about doing things with texture and what it means to do things with texture are things that are difficult. What I added to the conversation was, I remember being in high school and having friends that I played sports with, and when I would have discussions with those friends, nothing was off the table. I didn't hide anything from those friends in those discussions. I wasn't ashamed of anything that I was doing in those discussions. And part of the reason why I felt so comfortable to share with those friends in those discussions was because I knew what they had been through, and I had respected what they had been through. In most cases, two-a-days or difficult practices, or a lot of humility with a coach yelling at them. I had seen with my own eyes. I had witnessed and lived through difficult moments with them. And they had lived through difficult, humiliating, character-building moments with me. And what I've come to understand about those types of moments that you live with people, that you experience with people, is that you grow closer when you do things that add texture. I heard this concept, a podcast, a really good podcast, Learning Leader podcast. Ryan Hawk was the host, and his guest was talking about do things with your family that have texture. Hiking was one of the ones that I remember out of the podcast. The gentleman was saying that him and his wife will go on hikes, and those are the memories that they typically talk about, and the memories that typically end up being the best memories, ones that they cherish. So the reading we had out of the book last night, on top of the conversation of how do we, this is good working knowledge. What we were reading was good working knowledge. As long as somebody's willing to be vulnerable. So you can tell somebody, hey, it's so important in your life to get to the root cause of your issues, deal with all the wounding of your past, bring it to God, give it to God, and then God takes it and says, son, you are forgiven. I have washed away your sins. But there is a key element in there that you cannot, that doesn't have a variable that you can add to the equation. And that is, you cannot make somebody be vulnerable. You can bring 5 guys into a circle, and 4 of them are willing to be vulnerable, and 1 is not. And even the 4 guys willing to be vulnerable might not have the impact that you would want it to have on the 5th person, when you know that there's issues that he just needs to uncover for himself. It's not that I want to know your business. I'm not asking you to just vomit out all your deepest, darkest secrets here at this table. What I'm really trying to offer you is like some sort of freedom, and it's nothing I can do, but if you just choose to be honest, vulnerable, and unload whatever type of guilt, shame, or pain is deep down inside of your soul, then you can have this freedom and this peace that Jesus promises, that God promises us. But the one thing we cannot do, we can build community, we can fellowship, we can have men's groups and church services, but the one thing we can't do is make somebody be vulnerable. So that was what led me into the topic of what if we did more things with texture. And I can't speak for every man, but I can certainly speak for myself. When I've been through difficult things with somebody, I'm more likely to share personal stories, personal failures, areas where I've experienced shame. I'm just willing to be way more vulnerable with somebody that I have been through the ringer with. And so this is the conclusion that I eventually have drawn regarding the whole situation, is if we want to take on a mentor type role with somebody, or if we want to take on like a leadership type role in somebody's life where we lead them to a life of peace, of vulnerability, humility that leads eventually to peace. I wonder how much easier it would be to reach the people we want to reach if instead of inviting them into our couch to have a therapy session, if instead we took them on a hike, or we started at the gym, or taking them for a run, doing something difficult, somewhat physically demanding based on what their age and stage of life is, something that's going to challenge you both, an invitation to something that's going to challenge both of you without any ulterior motive or hidden agenda of hoping that this is going to lead to a conversation that's going to unveil their deepest, darkest secrets. Just inviting them into a challenging journey and seeing if that texture and creating those memories in a difficult environment where you have to earn each other's respect, if that mutual earned respect doesn't lead to a gratifying conversation, if it doesn't lead to a conversation that helps not just the mentee grow, but I would go on a limb. I would be willing to say it would help the mentor grow as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. Been heavy on my mind ever since that conversation. And I truly believe that if we do difficult things together, there is an aspect of mutual respect being earned. And I think that mutual respect, especially for men, primarily for men, but especially for men, that mutual respect is what will ultimately earn the favor of somebody who needs to be vulnerable, or somebody who is trying to mentor somebody that needs vulnerability in their life and humility. So, hope you enjoyed the chat, and we'll talk to you soon.